Behind the elimination of apartheid and the creation of modern labor relations in South Africa, behind the robot jockeys instead of children in the camel races of the Arab world, instrumental in the establishment of independent trade unions in Poland, is the global conscience of social justice. The International Labour Conference and its Standing Committee on the Application of Standards, the CAS.
We thank you in the ILO for your support and for refusing to forget us.
Since its establishment in 1926, embodying the fundamental principles enunciated in the ILO Constitution and the Declaration of Philadelphia, the CAS is one of the oldest global bodies monitoring compliance with international law on a regular basis. The CAS is also the only body of its kind in which decisions in respect to compliance are made by tripartite consensus. Representatives of governments, employers, and workers all have a say. And because the workers and employers take the lead in selecting the country cases for discussion and dialogue, being heard in front of the CAS has a significant impact on the course of social justice in member states.
The goal is to bring a government to a place, whether it's through building its capacity or building its understanding, to a place where it can be in a position to implement that roadmap, hopefully to a successful application of its international obligations.
We also provide clear, straightforward, actionable recommendations, and often they are time-bound. So it is important to send a message to governments. If necessary, you don't have to do it all by yourself. The ILO has the knowledge, the capacity to provide advice, to provide technical assistance, to provide any assistance to overcome eventual difficulties.
The CAS does not resolve human rights violations or technical compliance issues by itself. Instead, it adds dialogue and political persuasion to its technical findings and those of independent supervisory bodies, such as the Committee of Experts on the Application of Conventions and Recommendations. 24 cases raised as observations in the Committee of Experts report are discussed each year in the CAS. The combination of dialogue and expert analysis is the social contract in action, building consensus around a shared understanding of what actions are needed to reach an aspect of social justice. One example of such persuasion can be found in Indonesia, in the promotion of collective bargaining. Through the recommendations of the CAS on the application of Convention 98 and utilizing capacity building and technical cooperation provided by the ILO and its constituents, the government of Indonesia has created a space for independent trade unions to bargain on behalf of workers. Today, workers there are beginning to make incremental gains.
Los gobiernos también sean partícipe de esto cada vez más.
Governments are involved in this more and more, incorporating the work of the ILO and technical assistance, which is also an important element. Just because the committee meets once a year, the work does not stop there. Afterwards, there's a great deal of follow-up to provide inputs in line with the international labor instruments.
Las relaciones laborales y la consonancia con los instrumentos internacionales de trabajo.
The role of the CAS itself continues to evolve. General surveys by the Committee of Experts were introduced after the Second World War. By highlighting the impact of recommendations and conventions where they have not been ratified, the CAS provides guidance for member states in analyzing and overcoming difficulties. It also hears the states' views on whether certain instruments are still relevant for the future of work. In the late 1950s, the Conference Committee added failure to meet constitutional obligations, particularly the failure to supply reports, to its consideration of individual cases. Once again, through dialogue, building consensus around respect for voluntary obligations.
At the CAS with the ILO, it never criticises without offering the extending the hand of help. So when a government appears before the CAS, it's about exchanging how they have given effect to a particular standard. what measures they've taken, what measures they're considering, if there are gaps. So it's very much a dialogue, and I mean it's not a forum for admonishment. It's a forum for building consensus, for building an exchange of good practice and learning, really.
For more than 90 years, through dialogue backed up with technical findings and the views of governments, employers and workers, the CAS has monitored international obligations of ILO member states, providing a roadmap to compliance. For the ILO's next 100 years and beyond, the CAS will continue working to ensure social justice, contributing to the pursuit of freedom and human dignity, fairness, economic security, and sustainable development for all.